Lots of stuff probably, right? Yeah, but you know, when it comes to spring, we get this urge to do some cleaning, right? Something comes over us. We might ignore it, but it comes nevertheless, I believe. I could be wrong, I don't know. But we might, as some of you said, dust, clean the baseboards, things like that, clear the clutter. Maybe wash like the throw rugs or the bedspreads, the shower curtains that don't get washed every day or every month or whatever. Scrub floors, yuck. Clean out the refrigerator maybe. A lot of stuff, right? Closets, yes, closets. The junk drawer. But spring is the time for bringing renewal and freshness to our homes, right? Yes, there's something we like about that. And if we're being honest with ourselves, our homes are probably not the only place that could use a little bit of spring cleaning, maybe even deep spring cleaning. Over time, we have additional responsibilities at work maybe, or in our business, or maybe more commitments at church or in organizations that we belong to, or we get unfinished projects that kind of hang on at home. And all this stuff just accumulates, right? And clutters up and weighs down our hearts and our minds over time. You know? And we might procrastinate even more rather than getting inspired to do something about it. It might be like the closets and the garages that we keep stuffing things into until we just can't do it anymore. It needs some attention. So we might find ourselves in the habits of complaining or griping, or maybe even saying unkind things to ourselves, to other people. Might be into resenting. We might even get into hating. Hopefully not people, but hating situations or circumstances that are in our life. We might even do that. But all sorts of things, as they accumulate, build up in our hearts and minds, just like in the closets, cause clutter and toxins that can cause extended stress, which is like distress, can cause illnesses, maybe cause diseases, cause too much weight loss, too much weight gain, relationship problems, financial problems, all kinds of things. Maybe even making commitments that are not in our best interests, saying too many yeses, when it's okay to say no thank you. That's not where my spirit is leading me. But the clutter in our thoughts and our hearts can hinder us from being who we really are, being our true selves, being our authentic selves, sharing the gifts that we came here to share, from letting our light shine. Kind of puts the dimmer on it. But I'm going to share a list of things with you that if you choose to clear the clutter in and clean out, it can make your life so much more peaceful, so much easier, so much more full of joy and fun. I like that part. But we've been prone in the past, and maybe even now, to hold on to so many things that cause a great deal of stress and pain and even suffering. Instead of letting them go and allowing our lives to be more peaceful, joyful, and happy, we cling on to them. Why? Maybe because they're familiar, they're what we're used to. Maybe we're unconscious that we're doing it. It's a habit. That's just the way life is, you know? Or maybe it's too risky to let go of them and try a different way, a new way. But what if, beginning today, we choose to do some deep spring cleaning and some clutter clearing of our thoughts and beliefs that are no longer working for us. They might have worked one time, but no longer working for us, and no longer for our highest good. or maybe for the good of others in our lives. But none of these things that I'm going to share with you are new to you. None of them are new. You know them all. But I ask you to consider each one, as I mention them, and honestly ask yourself, do I need to clean up some clutter in this area? Do I need to clean up some clutter in this area? Because it's just like our house, you know, we dust, but dust comes back. So if you're willing, here we go. If you're not willing, then this is your time. You can take a nap, and it's okay. You know? It's okay. Sometimes we need to nap a little bit. So, first, toss out your need to be right. Are you one? I wish you could see Linda's face. Are you one who really, really likes to be right and don't really like to be wrong? Yeah, could be. We've all been there if we're not there now. Even when it's at the risk of damaging some of your relationships or causing pain and suffering in yourself or others. But if you haven't realized it yet, you soon will, that this really doesn't work. It's really not worth it. But next time, whenever you feel the need to jump into a fight over who's wrong or who's right, ask yourself this question. Would I rather be right or happy? Or maybe what Wayne Dyer suggests, would I rather be right or kind? Theodore Isaac Rubin, who's an American psychotherapist and author, said, kindness is more important than wisdom, and the realization of this is the beginning of wisdom. Next, sweep away blaming. Give up blaming others or circumstances for what you have or don't have, or for how you feel or don't feel. Because nothing out there is the cause of any of that. It's how you're perceiving whatever is happening. It's your thoughts about it. It's the stories you make up and tell yourself about it that's causing the problems. When you blame things outside you, you become what? A victim. And when you are a victim or see yourself as a victim, you're saying, here, take my power. Here, I give you my power. Right? So you want to take your power back. Let go of blaming. And then take 100% responsibility for your life. Ugh. Ugh. But just realize that that's what increases your personal power. And you really have it anyway. You might as well accept it and take your power back. Also, give up blaming yourself. Realize that everything's in divine order, including you. Every word you say, every thought you think. Your procrastination or your action, whatever. It's all in divine order. Sheila Reynolds, a teacher of metaphysics, said, all is unfolding within and around you, exactly as it is meant to. Exactly as it is meant to. You're neither moving too fast nor too slow, but all is absolutely right with where you are and with what is taking place. Oh, if we could really get that. It would stop a lot of criticism and suffering, wouldn't it? Next, brush away defeating self-talk. So many people are unconsciously harming themselves because of their negative, repetitive, defeating self-talk and thoughts. You're an expression of God in physical form, and thus every thought you think, every word you say is creative. So consciously choose. You always have the choice. Consciously choose to think the thoughts and speak the words that create the highest, best, most magnificent vision of yourself that you can imagine in the present moment. You are the creator. Probably you're like me And when you go out and you're out and about, you overhear conversations, right? And because I have taught a lot of workshops on the words that we speak and the thoughts we think, I pay attention. And this is one thing I heard when I was in the doctor's waiting room between two people. First person says to person two, "How are you?" And the other person says, "Oh, I'm old." And that person says, "I get it. Me too." And I didn't get from their tone of voice that they were considering old to be a positive condition, And I thought, I truly have not yet thought of myself as old. Now that sounds like I'm considering I might one day, but I haven't thought of myself as old, and I'm 75 years old. And these people look to me like they're in their mid-40s. And I'm thinking, I wonder when they're my age, what they're going to look like and what they're going to feel like if they keep talking like this.
If they're alive.
Yeah, if they're alive, exactly. Eckhart Tolle said, the mind is a superb instrument if used rightly. Used wrongly, however, it becomes very destructive. And what I think of myself as, rather than old, and this is a choice, I think of myself as a person who is continually learning and growing, always seeking out new experiences to learn something new, and getting wiser in the process. So that's what I think of myself as instead of old. Next thing, discard negative and limiting thoughts and beliefs. Negative. Negative thoughts are simply thoughts about what you don't want. That's all they are. They're not bad, they're not wrong, they're just thoughts about what you don't want. And when you remember that you're a creator, if you think thoughts about what you don't want, what are you creating?
What you don't want.
Exactly. Yet, I forget every day at some time. And I'm thinking a lot of you probably do too. That's why I said practice, 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 practice. So, when you find yourself worrying or feeling fearful or anxious, use those feelings to your advantage as little reminders saying, you're thinking about what you don't want again. And then ask yourself, what do I want instead of this? And then that's what you affirm, and that's what you focus your attention on. Ernest Holmes, founder of religious science, said, change your thinking, change your life. He also said, to learn how to think is to learn how to live. I had not heard that one before. To learn how to think is to learn how to live. Next, give up your excuses. Excuses are a specific kind of limiting thought. Just send them on their way because they just hinder you or stop you from doing what you came here to do. And yet it's all perfect, right? We're playing this game here on earth. We came to play, I guess, and entertain ourselves. But we often limit ourselves from the many excuses we use. Instead of believing in ourselves and in our lives and in the process of life, we have these excuses. When we say can't or impossible, we're really lying to ourselves. It's not the truth. It's not the truth. It's again stories that we're making up, or that someone made up for us and we believed. I've read 2 good books over the years, and one of them probably more than once, that really helped me with letting go of excuses. The first one was by Peter McWilliams, and it was called Do It, Let's Get Off Our Butts. And that was the B-U-T-S's, not the B-U-T-T-S's. But I don't have enough money, but I don't know how, but I don't have time. Let's get off our butts. And the other one was by Wayne Dyer, called Excuses Be Gone, How to Change Lifelong Self-Defeating Thinking Habits. But not only did these books give me tips for giving up excuses, they helped me realize where I was unconscious about using excuses in my life. Oh wow, that's an excuse. I didn't even realize that. So I highly recommend both of those. Next is clean away complaining. Give up complaining about those many, many things that trigger you into irritation or resistance or don't like that. Push your buttons. And they can leave you feeling angry or sad or depressed or upset in the process. But remember, no person or situation can make you feel that way. It can be a trigger for you, but it can't make you feel that way. What makes you feel that way is the story you're telling yourself about what just happened or about that person. So since you're a great story creator and a storyteller, start creating and telling stories about what you do want, about what you like, about what you envision, about wouldn't it be nice if, all those kinds of things. Stephen Covey, author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, said, to change ourselves effectively, we have to first change our perceptions. Change our perceptions, how we see things. And that's our choice, breaking out of old habits. And here's another conversation I once heard when I was in a line in the grocery store. I heard one woman say, I hate this weather, it's getting so hot. And the other woman chimed in and said, I know, I just don't feel like doing anything in this miserable weather. Anybody ever said anything like that?
Not me. Except when it's winter.
But I'm sure I have at some time. But I thought at the time, I've developed myself into being a person who really likes weather. I like the wonderful sunshine. I like the cozy gray days. I like to call them cozy. I like the clean, refreshing rain. I like the storms that are full of energy and the wind blowing and everything. I like to really watch those storms. And I think that's really that I've practiced so long looking on the bright side of things that I've just developed those kinds of things in my life. And it sure makes my life a lot easier. I don't know. Cleanse away criticism. A lot of these are similar, but a little bit different too. Give up criticizing things, people, situations that are different than you are, or that don't match your rules of life, or that don't conform to the way you want them to be. So give up your criticism of those and your judgment. We're all our unique selves, but we're all alike in that we all want to be happy. We all want to love and feel loved. We all want to be heard and understood. And of course, give up criticizing yourself. No need for that. You're perfect. Right where you are, just as you are. Next, whisk away labels and judgments. Give up labeling and judging those things that you don't understand as being weird or wrong or the enemy, like some people make immigrants into being because they don't know them, they don't understand them. So they make them the enemy. Choose to open your mind just little by little if need be. And it's like the quote I once heard, and I forgot to look up to see if I could find out who said it, but it's, minds are like umbrellas. They work better when open. So open your mind. Be accepting. Be allowing. Wayne Dyer said, the highest form of ignorance is when you reject something you don't know anything about. Next, throw out the need to impress others. Throw out the need to impress others. Let go of trying to be something you aren't or someone you're not. To have others like you, or to have others not dislike you. But it doesn't work that way. You've probably already found that out. And learn to give up caring about what other people think about you. Sometimes that's easy with strangers, but it's not so easy with people that we really care about. Because we want them to like us and love us. But that's another way of taking back your power that you've given away when you're trying to impress others. Another way of taking back your power. But the moment you stop trying to be someone you're not, the moment you take off your masks, moment you accept yourself just as you are, you'll find people being drawn to you. There's something highly, highly attractive about being authentic. Next, give up trying to live up to other people's expectations. That's similar to the last one, but a little bit different again. Way too many people are living lives that aren't even theirs. They were brought up and conditioned to live the lives that others people think are best for them. It starts with our parents. We try to live the life that they think is best for us. And they're doing it at the lowest, the deepest level from love. But they're not treating us as our individual selves, you know. And then we start living the lives that our teachers or the ministers or the government or society thinks is best for us. And sometimes if we ever knew what we really liked and wanted, we'd forget it. And we ignore our intuition, our inner voice, or sometimes we don't even realize we have an inner voice, you know, that guides us. So, when you're so busy trying to please everybody, you get out of touch with your intuition, your own inner voice, your own inner guidance. You might forget what makes you happy. You forget what you want. You forget what your desires are. And eventually what you do is forget about yourself. Forget about yourself. So it's time to get in touch with whatever you've forgotten about what you love, about what you want, about what your heart's desires are. It's okay to have heart's desires. Desire is literally from the Father, from God. God gives us those. Next, give up your resistance to change. No, not that. But change is natural. It's not our enemy. It's a part of growth. Resistance to change only causes us suffering. Might as well go along with it. It helps us move from point A to point B. It helps us improve ourselves. It helps us improve our lives. Without change, we couldn't do any of that. It helps us grow. So it's in learning to trust the process of life that we can more easily embrace change, go with the flow, and live a life of ease and grace and fulfillment. Next, release those fears. They're not real anyway. It's false evidence appearing real. It's in our thoughts. We made up the stuff to be fearful about, those negative what ifs. Well, what if? You know? What if? No. But as soon as you realize you're in fear, again, like I mentioned earlier, just see it as a quick reminder. You're thinking about what you don't want again. What do you want? Focus your attention on that. That's what you're creating. Next, give up living in the past and spending too much time in the future. You know, this can be hard because sometimes we want to hang on to the past because, oh, remember the good old days? You know, oh, wish we had those again. Or sometimes we want to hang up on the past because we're clinging to some resentment or hanging on to unforgiveness because we just don't want to let it go. So those are reasons that we might still be in the past. Now, it can feel hard for the future too. When the future appears frightening, like the state of the government today, like climate change and natural disasters, like gun violence, like bullying, like the things that are happening in schools, hate crimes, all kinds of things like that. If we dwell on that too much, that can make the future kind of scary. And especially when it's in the now for us, we think it's going to continue. But remember, the present moment is all we have. That's all we ever have. That's all we're in, is the present moment. The past and the future are simply in our minds. And remember that past that you may be longing for called the good old days? when you were there, you ignored it. Right? You were thinking of other good old days or what you wanted in the future. Silly us. But learn to be present, learn to be mindful. As far as the future goes, yes, you can certainly have a vision for the future. I mean, that's how we pull ourselves forward into it. And then you're inspired to action. Yet as you take that inspired action, be mindful and be in the present moment as you do it. It's really an interesting balancing act. And then release any need for control. That's sometimes like releasing the need to be right. Be willing to give up your control of your life, of the situations in it, the people in it, of yourself and how you're acting and being. But as for people, whether they're your loved ones, whether they're your co-workers, whether they're strangers, just let them be as they are. Wow, they're not following that's not the way I was raised. You know, that's not what I was taught. But just let them be. We all have our own roles to play. And when you do this, when you allow other people and situations just to be, notice them. You can still prefer them to be different. Notice them, but you'll find out that your relationships are going to improve so much when you do that. And events in your life are going to work out, always work out so much quicker. They always work out anyway, but they're going to work out so much more quickly and with so much more ease and grace. And then realize that life is not happening to you. It's always happening for you. Always happening for you. The more you grow your faith and learn to trust the process of life, the easier and easier and easier this becomes. Dr. Amy Johnson, a coach, a social psychologist, and an author, said, the energy of surrender accomplishes much more than the energy of control. We think we're going to accomplish much more if we control it, right? And backwards. The energy of surrender accomplishes much more than the energy of control. And then the last one I'm going to share with you today is to toss out attachment. I want it to happen this way. I want it to end this way. I want to be with this person. It's got to be that way. And this can be hard. This can be hard because, gosh, it's like we think we know better than God what we want, right? But God is us. In us, we're an expression of God. And everything's good. So learn to let go of that attachment, circumstances, to people, to things. Doesn't mean you give up your love for them or even your desire for them, because love and attachment are quite different. Attachment is based on fear. And love is the flip side of fear. So you can still desire those things. You learn to change your attachments to preferences. Instead of demands, they're preferences. Well, if I had it my way, I'd like this. But then you remember, oh, this or something even better than I can now imagine. You can ask for that thing, and then